One book, a lot of notes, and a mind that's been wrecked. There is no coming back from this book. Yay, you made it. I've been waiting for you. Hi, my name is Floss. This is the Grape Jelly Library where we love to talk about books. I am so glad you could join me. I always look forward to your visit. Today, we are going to talk about a book that if you have never read before, fair warning, this book will change you. You will never be the same again once you read this book. It is absolutely, positively sickening, gruesome, shocking, horrifying, absurd, unreal, unbelievable, obnoxious. It is every single thing. And I can't even believe what I have just experienced. I am telling you, I have lost sleep over this book. Spoiler alert, because I am going to be telling you some things. Okay, I need to calm down. I have to reel it in, Floss. Ooh. Those of you who read this book know what I'm talking about. You know why I'm so hyped up. I literally lost sleep over this book. I did no other versions of this book except for reading it exclusively. And I made a point that I was going to give myself time with this book because it is a little bit of a chunker. But from the very first page, I knew I was in hook, line, and sinker. No fluff, no fillers, no building up to the suspense of the book. Straight into the madness it takes you. Okay, so one of the things that I do like about this book is that they list the cast of characters. I really found that helpful. If you have watched a documentary, or you've read an article, or you've gone down a rabbit hole on this subject matter, you have not even begun to touch the surface. There is so much. There is an overwhelming amount of information in this book. Now, I just referred to it as a chunker, but with the amount of information that this book holds within, it's rather a thin novel. You would think that with the amount of information that is held within the text of this book, that the book would have been about this thick. But Bugliosi and Gentry did such a phenomenal job of cutting away all the excess and just giving us straight facts, straight storyline. There was never a moment within this book that I said, let's come on, keep it going, keep it going. No. This book had me from page one. Starts on August 9th, 1969, the date of the Sharon Tate murders. This book shows us the layout of the property, fingerprints of the culprits. There is nothing that this book does not inform us of. You will not come out of this book wondering about anything. Every single thing is spelled out for you. It's baffling. Baffling in that within days of the murder, information was presented to the police. And months later, they even said how many man hours it took them to solve this crime. And it was in the high thousands. But if they just would have listened, this book claims to be one of the best crime stories ever written, says Chicago Sun Time Showcase. It's the biggest selling true crime book in publishing history with over 7 million copies sold. Do I agree with that statement? Oh, you bet your bippy I do. This book is phenomenal. I thought that I was going to say that the best book that I have read this year is, but I would have been so wrong because it has to be this one. I am a true crime fanatic. I love forensic files. I love trying to solve mysteries. For me, the best true crime book that I have ever read to date was The Iceman. The Iceman, the story of Richard Kuklinski. Oh man, nothing was ever going to top that story. Hello. Hello. This book is so absurd. I told you, spoiler alerts, and I am going to give you some spoiler alerts. There is a young lady. No, I recant. There is a person by the name of Susan Atkins. And she just may be the devil herself. The things that she did. Okay, what? What did she do, Floss? I want to say, I'm going to give some spoilers now, and they are going to be graphic. So if you are not into violence, when Sharon Tate was begging for the life of herself and of her unborn baby. Unreal. Susan, while incarcerated, told another inmate that after they committed these murders, they wanted to do so much more to the bodies pertaining to Sharon's baby and the victim's eyeballs. What they did to Shorty was absolutely horrendous. The Manson family not only possessed carving forks, knives, guns, but unfathomably bayonets. Bayonets. Are you kidding me? Susan Atkins, thick ticket. She would be on the compound and she would exercise with no gotchis on. What she did to Sharon Tate's blood is unspeakable. And I'm not talking about how she wrote pig on the door with Sharon's blood. I'm not talking about that. Something totally different. Totally, totally unsettling. At least two of the girls in the Manson family came from well-off families. One of them, her father was a stockbroker, and she possessed at least $6,000 in the 60s, 70s, possessed $6,000 in stocks, in which she sold, gave all of the money to Manson, and her baby went on welfare. Manson had some sort of power, some sort of control over these people. And he would say, jump, and they would say, how high? The book first takes us into the murders. It describes the scene, the murder scene, vividly, so vividly. I had even gone and read a sentence and then gone back and reread that sentence to make sure that is what I really read. I have read some articles on this subject matter, but I was totally not prepared for what I was going to find out within this book. Mind blown. After the book describes these very gruesome murders, it takes us into a little journey about Charles Manson's upbringing, who his mom was, a 16-year-old girl named Kathleen Maddox, who was a little bit loosey-goosey, and she met a man named William Manson and married him just long enough to give Charles his last name. Charles was not even assigned a name at birth. His mother didn't even remember when his birthday was, so she just picked a date at random. She made up a birthday for him. She didn't want him. She was in and out of prison herself, or jail. She was in and out of jail herself. And when Charles was 12, she decided she did not want him anymore, and she took him to foster care. Foster care was all booked up, so the courts assigned him to a school for boys. In and out of the system his whole life. One time, upon being released after being incarcerated for years, Charles begged the powers that be to not let him be released into the public domain. He didn't know where he fit in. He felt that he was a little mental. He didn't know where he was going to go, what he was going to do. He didn't trust himself. But against Charles's pleas, released into the public he was. And quickly thereafter, the Manson family was formed. This is a book that, if you are a true crime fan like I am, a book you will not want to put down. I can't even believe what I have read. I think that Vincent Bugliosi and Curt Gentry are phenomenal writers. Phenomenal. They know their craft and they really honed in on it. Like I said, no fillers, no fluff, no. And just when you think that, oh, we're going to get a little clinical here, we're going to go through some court proceedings. And if you're not into that, the book could get a little bit stagnant. No, because within that pertinent information that needs to be told within this book, there are still some shocking revelations. There's no time to get bored with this book. It is so sad and so unfortunate that it had to play out. And the reasons for the killing in and of itself was just to obtain money. And the reason that they chose that house was because it was in a cul-de-sac and because they could get away with it. And they did, didn't they? At least long enough to carry out the murders. We'll never read a book with people in it so cruel or so demonic than this book. What Susan Atkins did to her baby turned my stomach. Actually turned my stomach. I'm done. I'm done. I'm out of that book. And I need to come out of the darkness, and I need to something light and frivolous. So Here we go. The Spooky Scary Skeleton Halloween Read-A-Thon. Prompt: read a book about a witch. Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper. I'm going to give this one a spin. I'm going to come out of the darkness and I'm going to put myself in the light. Balance. It's all about balance. Don't stay in those dark places. Come out of them. Until we meet again, know that I love you. Don't let those bad days win. And when you dream, make sure you're dreaming big.